So now that we have this, there are a couple other settings that I want to really focus in on. And the very first one, we're going to go back to that top right-hand side and click on the Integrations tab. Now, in the Integrations tab, you're going to see a lot of different integrations. And you might even see more integrations than I currently have on my screen, which means my team has been at work. That's awesome, right? But most of these integrations are going to be things that I would like to cover a little bit later because they're not super important to us right now. But there are a couple that I want to draw attention to because they're really powerful. So the very first one that I want to draw attention to, if you've ever worked with Mark in the past and you were a subscriber of his Revolve CRM, we have an integration with Revolve. You can click this login button, and what it's going to do is it's going to pull your utility API and your user ID. Now, we're not saving your login information, but what this will allow you to do is create a safe backup of all of your information from your Revolve account. That way, if you want to have a safe secondary, have access to that. That was something that I built out pretty quickly, and then Mark was able to take it and do some additional steps once he joined my team. Now, the next one that I want to draw attention to is SendGrid. Now, SendGrid and Twilio are represented by both of the same companies, but SendGrid is going to be specific to email and Twilio is going to be specific to text messages. Now, here is a bit of a backstory on technology, if you will. So in my world, on the back end of things, there are lots and lots of different email authentication services. SendGrid is one of those. So basically, what SendGrid is doing, when you write an email and you send it to someone, it is going, do I know this person? Are they legit? And if they are legit, it'll send it right through. Boom. Now, services like Outlook or Google, oftentimes when they're sending, they don't use a secondary service. But anytime we're sending through those services, we need that authentication to verify that you are legit. Now, in the past, something that I learned from one of Mark's companies was that when a company would build one singular SendGrid account for all of their users. Now, this does work. You just fill them all out, and it would make it easier until someone did something that was not the greatest. They were sending out lots of scam emails or phishing emails trying to steal people's data and information. Anything like that could cause SendGrid to stop allowing you to send messages. Well, if every single user is tied to that single SendGrid, that's a big problem. So because regulation has gotten much more broad and email is being really focused on cracking down on that kind of malicious behavior, it is actually best case for you to get your own SendGrid account. Now, I have a video, I'll throw it up in the corner for you guys. If you want to learn how to set up your own SendGrid account, it takes a little bit of time. And if you do not use a mainstream service, if you have your own URL, so if at the end of your email, it says @ and it's something other than Outlook, Yahoo, or Gmail, SendGrid could be a really good option for you. Now, if you do have one of those at Google, Yahoo, Outlook, whatever, we have a different option for you too. So the most important thing that I want to help focus us in on is our Google integration. Now, Google is a really great integration for lots of different reasons. The very first one being their ecosystem is free. So you can go ahead and you can get set up for a Google account, and it's going to be free. There's just a little bit of setup, but if you need a service, this is going to be it. Setting up our Google is really important because this is going to allow us to send messages out via SAM. So go ahead and click this add authorization, and a pop-out window is going to pop up. From here, you can sign in to your specific Google account. You can actually sign into multiple Google accounts, and then your Google account is going to be added right there. Now, I had already added my account, but basically what we are doing, just like I talked about in SendGrid, they need to verify that you're a person who is got permission to be sending things. Google is actually going to say, hey, Sam would like to send things via your Gmail. Is that okay with you? And that's going to be what we're doing. Now, the other thing that's really cool about Google is we have what is called a two-way Google Sync. Now, what this means is you can sync your contacts from Sam to your Google contacts, and you can sync your Google contacts into Sam. You can also sync your calendar from inside Sam to Google, and then you can sync your Google Calendar inside Sam. So when all of this plays out, what this means is, let's say I add a new listing appointment at 3 p.m. today. I can add it inside of Sam, and then I could toggle over to my calendar in Google, and you would see that that event is also right there. How cool is that? Now, the even cooler part is I could adjust it from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. and Google would say, okay, let's adjust that. I could toggle back over to Sam, a little bit of a maybe 3 or 4 second delay. Boom, that's going to automatically move. So now we have communication between the two that's going to allow you to move really quickly. We'll dive into that a little bit later. Now, outside of that, we have lots of other different integrations. We have integrations with Slack. Dub is a video messaging service. We have the ability to set up events through Eventbrite. And we even have access to 11 Labs, which helps us run the AI assistants, which are little task-focused helpers that are going to help build different processes into your business. We'll talk about that all later. And then the last one that we have is Letter Friend, which basically allows you to send messages to the Letter Friend service, and you can pay to have a real life human handwrite your letters, whether they're birthday, anniversary, congratulations, whatever they are. Someone will handwrite those for you. All you would have to do is pre-build the message that you want to get sent on that. Now, the last thing you might notice in our integration section, I want to call attention to, is this email leads to Sam. Email leads to Sam is really cool because what it does is it allows you to remove a software from your stack of ever mounting software solutions, right? So basically, I'm trying to save you just a little bit of money if I can by building things into SAM, and that's exactly what I did right here. So if you think about how you bring contacts into the system, one of the ways you can do that is you can email them in. So clicking this add email, what it's going to do is it's going to generate a new email address. And I can click this little pencil icon to the right-hand side. Now, I will note this email address is like the garbageest of addresses, but what you can do is you can set an email forward up inside your account so that we can follow along on this process. Now, the process goes as such. You will create a resource and you will post it onto your website. You could create those inside of SAM. We'll dive into that in a little bit. You put a lead capture in front of that resource. So you got to make it something that's really great, something that people really want access to. Maybe it's a first-time homebuyer guide, or maybe it's a luxury condo checklist, or maybe it's a downsizer's guide to being successful in downsizing. Who knows? But you build out that resource and you say, here's the resource. If you give me your name, your phone number, and maybe even your email, you definitely need the email, maybe even your phone number, I will send you this. So then as you're trading details, it's going to send that to your inbox. You have a forwarding rule, say, anytime it sends me this, send it to this address right here. And the address that it sends to will take all those contact details. It'll use a little bit of AI, and Sam will actually build it into a contact inside your database. How cool is that? So let's look at how we are able to map that so that we can successfully have a well-balanced out piece of information. So this is all about data cleaning so that we have the ability to have good data in our database, right? So the very first thing that you could do is give it a title. This would be, maybe it's from your resource on the website. Now, someone who raises their hand and gets a new resource, well, maybe they're a B contact. They've raised their hand, they're saying they're interested, but we don't really know what they're interested in quite yet. We need to do a little bit of work to get them there, and so they're probably a B contact. Now, categories are pretty common in real estate. I like to say an A category is someone you're going to give a gift to at Christmas. Maybe a D category is like a friend of a friend of a friend who knew a guy, who met a guy, who has a barber, who was a friend of that person. Kind of a garbage lead, but we still have their information, so it's worth using, right? And after that, we can fill out type. We can fill out status. I would say that they're probably not a hot lead, but they might be warm. Maybe the milestone in which we have engaged with them. And then we're going to have date fields. This is going to be the important thing that we're going to dive into a little bit later. But one of the things that Sam is able to do is we can identify these date fields and we can actually start automations based on specific dates. Like I said, we'll dive into that a little bit later, but this is going to be a completely new way of you thinking about how to build and run workflow automations. After that, we're going to finish up with some tags, and you can add as many tags as you feel like you need. And tags are essentially a way to build into little groups or little segmented sections the different leads that come from different places so that we can sort them lots of different ways. We're going to dive into that when we move into our CRM databasing section. So don't stress too much about this, but this is going to allow you to do some really powerful things. But once we have all of that, we at the very bottom can check to notify all users of the lead. If we check this and we go ahead and hit the save, what that would do for us is up on this top right-hand side, there's a little bell with some notifications. And anytime a new contact would come in, we would see a little notification. And anytime we logged into SAM, we would hear a little ding icon indicating to us that we have a new notification. So that's a really easy way to help keep your team alerted to the fact that we have some new information. So this is the basics of what I need you to actually go through and set up, as well as some of the nuanced understanding that maybe we'll circle up and actually look on later. Now, there's lots of power inside of SAM, lots of different things that you can do, but I don't want to overwhelm you because honestly, you don't necessarily need to set up your Dub or your Eventbrite or your Letterfriend to be successful in SAM. But if you go ahead and you get your profile set up, and then you go ahead and go into the integrations and get your Google account tied into SAM, you are going to be incredibly prepared to do what is next. And that's actually going to be diving into the CRM databases. We're going to look at exactly how we can do that. But today, what I wanted to do is get the baseline of everything set up. And now that we have all of this set up, we also have a way to send out messages, and we have a way for us to bring leads inside of SAM. We've got a couple of other really cool ways that we can do that, and we're going to be focusing on that on the next video. So I will go ahead and I will end the video here, but I will see you on that next video. I'm really excited, and hopefully this has been a lot of fun for you to just start following along, start understanding. If you have any questions, feel free and reach out, help@workflowsecrets.info, and I'd be more than happy to help you. But I will see you on the next video.